It's 8:44. Welcome back to BT. It's been nearly 1 month since the death of George Floyd, and there have been protests all over the world, important discussions at the federal level within police departments, and even at the dinner table with your friends and family on what we can do about systemic racism. Joining us now is Dr. Shimi Kang to continue the conversation this morning. Hi, Shimi.
Hi, good morning.
So we know these protests and, having these conversations can spark change, but we are only just scratching the surface here. Let's say these protests continue throughout the summer and into the fall. This can have a serious effect on our mental health. It can be pretty exhausting.
Yes, absolutely. It can be mentally and physically exhausting, just with sleep deprivation and all those basics of self-care when you're busy protesting and, people have lives and children and homes to take care of. But I'm so glad you're asking about mental health, because we do know that protests, we tend to see a spike in depression after major community protests. We also, though, can see increased collective healing and social cohesion. So the key is, if you're out protesting, is to have those social connections and then try to tell stories or get the support for your own healing. I think that's a key part. It's not just advocacy. Of course, that's important, but there's a moment of coming together and healing as well.
You mentioned that there have been studies that see a spike in depression after protests. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think when we look at the issue of racism and mental health in general, we actually see already a connection there. Racism brings up an issue of identity and a feeling sometimes of not belonging, not sometimes. And that impacts our mental health with anxiety rates, depression already. And then that conversation is really kind of brought up right into the forefront. For people who aren't involved, maybe who are, let's say, watching on the sidelines, even there, when we see a feeling of disruption in our community, it can make us feel have anxiety and stress as well.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, we have to see those as short-term aspects to something that we're really trying to change in the long term. And it can be done if people remember to also take care of themselves through the process.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So some people might also be feeling helpless. It can be overwhelming when you're continuing to fight and you're not seeing the results as quickly as you want. How can we try to get over that feeling and stay positive?
Right, and to understand that this will take time, although things are moving faster than before, which is great. But for people who feel helpless, really the options are to listen deeply, really understand, reflect on what you're hearing, ask questions, be curious, offer support, and change behavior. So look for how you're going to vote, how you're going to, sign petitions or get involved in the political process. That's that legislative piece. So ultimately, that's what leads to long-term change. It is okay to take a break once in a while. Make sure that you are taking care of your mental health, all those good things, routine, regular sleep, exercise, and being more involved in person as opposed to social media. Make sure you're balancing that important change.
Yeah, I do have one friend that's very passionate about these issues. She's been doing tons of research. She's been making phone calls. She's glued to her phone and the TV. And then last week she got a migraine and she was out for a few days. So it's really important to have that balance. And also, finally, Shimi, many people might be feeling scared to protest. Like you mentioned, they are watching from the sidelines. How do we get over, that feeling of fear?
Right. It is a tough time for people who are scared and don't know how to contribute or dealing with their own conflicted issues, in their own mind right now. And I think that, take the time to sort out where you stand, what your experiences are, and find ways that you can offer support that feels authentic to you. So, some person is not the type to go protest, but maybe they're okay to quietly sign a petition, or they are looking at articles and educating themselves, or donating money, or, providing support to a friend or loved one. So, really it has to be authentic to you. And we all have our own ways of contributing and participating in events and movements like this.
Okay, Shimi, we're out of time, but thank you so much for joining us again this morning. Always great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Okay, it is 8:49 now.